Hello, this is Beverly with the Intuitive Interior, and I apologize. I believe that oak season, along with the yin metal rabbit, has both arrived and is definitely affecting my voice. So this video will likely be a little bit shorter as I try to keep a voice going. So the yin metal rabbit, let me just show you the picture from Vicky and Skandar. So it shows an image of a crescent moon with a woman playing a flute in a green dress and a rabbit listening at her feet rapturously. Yin metal is all about beauty. It's symbolized by jewelry, about any kind of metal that can be formed into something else. It can also indicate like a scalpel or any other kind of surgical equipment such as that. Pruning shears, very much the yin metal aspect there. And then rabbit holds the energy of yin wood. So flowers, the climbing vines. That's why her dress is a little more muted color of green with the flowers on it. Again, flowers are fleeting. Flowers are, again, all about beauty. It's about the climbing vine, the ground cover that spreads luxuriously but doesn't necessarily support weight. For example, like behind me, I have my bamboo, and that would be considered yin metal or yin wood because of how it's not terribly strong. This particular one, now some of the larger bamboo, different story depending on the variety. I just want to read a couple little things that the yin, this pillar, this yin metal rabbit pillar, this whole thing it's about the creative expression of the divine feminine. And again, this doesn't necessarily mean that it's only women who get to benefit this month, but it does mean that it's that feminine aesthetic. It's that desire for beauty, that desire to make things functional, but also pretty. And it's really, this month is very much of a month of figuring out, well, what does beauty mean to you? Is this an external beauty? Is this internal beauty? Is it both? Is it just redefining what does all of that mean? Shift it. It's a perspective shift. This is asking us to shift our way of thinking. It is also asking us to find beauty in the mundane, so that everyday tasks, how good does that countertop look when you clear off all of that paper and clutter? That's the kind of beauty that you're going to want to really focus on. In the I Ching, it is card number 61. It's called Inner Truth. And there is, again, another woman sitting inside of I guess it's a lotus leaf or a cabbage leaf, and, achieving enlightenment while still being grounded. There's a rooted cord going from the base of this bubble that she's sitting in all the way down into the earth. This card talks about the wisdom of the heart, insight, clarity, purity, intuitive knowing, consciousness, and penetrating illusion. We are definitely in a time right now where there's a lot of illusion going around. One only needs to look at the news to wonder what story is real, what story is fake. We constantly have to not suspend disbelief, but activate disbelief before we can see if what we're seeing is the actual truth. It says truth is not found by adopting certain beliefs or by social conditioning. It is the silent voice of the heart that responds to what is with detached clarity, untainted by emotionalism, and that is always available, but very often ignored. Remembering that your perceptions and interpretations are colored by your state of mind not only sheds a different light on what you call reality, but will also assist you in taking greater responsibility for your thoughts and actions. I know for me, um, I have been on a constant ever since I really discovered that I had been an empath my entire life. Ever since I had discovered the tool of feng shui, of energy healing, of energy work, of space clearing, of all of that, I've really had to look at all the things that I was taught and experienced, because there's a lot of value to traditional ways of being and thinking and acting. And if it isn't examined occasionally, you'll find that you just keep doing things that, well, don't need to be done that way anymore. I there's nothing more poignant than thinking about germ theory. Germ theory came about because one brave scientist decided, hey, wait a minute, there's something going on between all these deaths of new mothers and the fact that these doctors are going straight from doing autopsies on diseased patients and not washing their hands. There's these pathogens. I guess, that was his theory, that there are these, germs that were going from the dead people to the women and them dying. And he was very much shunned and belittled. Um, I'm going to again put a plug out for this podcast called The Telepathy Tapes. Season 2 talks a lot about energy work, near death experiences, frequency medicine, and things like that. I highly recommend, of course, listening to season 1 first and then moving into season 2. So much of what we now take for granted as well, of course, we can make a phone call on a cell phone and have those signals go through the air and connect with somebody else. Um, of course, that's a thing that wouldn't have been, of course, a while back, but somebody had to imagine it. So thoughts have energy. And if something needs to be created, isn't going to land at home with you, it will find someone else to build it, to take it into its fruition and create life with it, give it its own reality. Okay, so the next card I think is another really beautiful one. A little on the nose, but sometimes when I'm shuffling, that just happens. This is card number 19, and it's called Approach. It is a beautiful red carpeted stairs, walking through a path outside with beautiful flowers right outside the door, giving you that feeling of abundance, of growth, of springtime. In fact, this card says advancing, a warm reception, prosperous conditions, increased influence, hopefulness, lightening up, and an arrival. Um, it made me really smile when I looked at this card because it's just so pretty. And so that kind of gave me a little bit of excitement to read through it. Its focus line is number 2. I'll go ahead and go on that here in a moment. But this is really talking about that transition from winter into spring, how things are starting to warm up and melt. Now, down here in Texas, we don't really have a whole lot of winter. But there were those days when we had some ice and we had to be very careful about how we walked on the sidewalks. People in colder climates see that all the time. And so you have to change your gait, how you walk, because you don't want to fall. Nobody wants to fall. Now this is saying, okay, things are thawing. We don't have to be so careful and cautious now. We can walk at a more normal pace. This is also talking about how there's a lot of potentially new springs. So there may be a lot of new beginnings, a lot of do-overs, a lot of business opportunities coming up. Being aware of that and jumping on it as soon as you notice that it's available. Um, this is again the coming back to the gardening metaphor. This is really preparing the soil. You've prepared the soil, you've planted the seeds, and now you're starting to see the very first fruits of your labor coming up. March energy, anyway, is abundance. The rabbit energy is abundance. I mean, people talk about the lucky rabbit's foot, not so much for the rabbit because they've now lost their foot. But the rabbits multiply. They like to be secretive. They like to go into their den and be with family and be protected. They can be more cautious going out when because they are prey animals. So there is that element. But this is, hey, let's go out, let's frolic, let's enjoy ourselves, and let's take this as an opportunity to revel in the beauty around us. This focus line too says that the best gardeners nourish their land not just with all the right textbook ingredients, but with an extra measure of love and care. In that way, they learn to read the subtle signs of nature, and nature returns the favor by sustaining them even through less favorable times. The best way to stay in tune with forces larger and more mysterious than your limited understanding is to stay in touch with your own love and trust. Because this is line 2, that is more of an internal process. So that is us as individuals figuring out how to just really intuit what the next step is and how we can use this abundance in our favor. Hold on, I have to take a drink of water because, hydration. Now, the other card, focus card, is number 1. This is called the creative. This is a pure yang card. You see it, there's a hand, a palm that shows the abundance of stars in the sky with concentric circles going around it like tree rings in multiple colors. This is the active yang principle: strength, tenacity, dynamism, inspiration, heaven, masculinity, authority, father. This to me is about, again, those opportunities that were being created with this rabbit energy, with that approach, with that springtime budding. How do we take advantage of that? How do we make sure that we don't squander opportunities as they come? It is the active force. It is the, it says to remain in harmony with its course, and so to benefit from its infinite resource. Remain open and willing to work intuitively and spontaneously with what is offered to you now. You are empowered to inspire by having been inspired. So think big and let your dreams be grand, and cultivate integrity, kindness, and humanity. It says the compelling power of yang, this yang power, cannot be prevented or manipulated to your will, and any attempts to egotistically impose upon it distorts the outcome. Talks about that's when the best laid plans go awry. Now, I know I just said to jump on those opportunities, but if you aren't grounded and you aren't aware of where the overall end game is, you might find yourself jumping on a horse that isn't going the direction you want to go. This is, again, a focus line 2. And actually, I end up having to do this twice. So it was 1 and 2. I'm just going to go ahead and just read number 2 because that's the one that energy tested is the most appropriate. It says, you're in touch with the inner voice of intuition. Trust it and be free of the limited perspective of doubt and hesitation that has kept you immobilized. But it is also, be cautious, be aware of where these opportunities are taking you. Everybody gets lots of opportunities. This, again, is an internal process. This is where if you need help deciding, well, is this something that's for me, or is this something that other people want for me? Sometimes they're the same thing, but you really need to be clear with yourself. And the only way to do that is to go within. This yang energy, it is very strong, and it's like a a rushing river, and if you are barely able to like paddle, like doggy paddle, you probably want to be cautious about getting into a boat that is going to take you down level 5 rapids, especially if you don't have some safety equipment on. So that's kind of where we have to be aware of that. Now, the last card that came up for the clarifying card is number 43. It's called Resoluteness. And this is looks like a Chinese warrior. He has gold earrings, his long beard, a little bit of white in there to show that he has some experience. He has a very serious look on his face. He's wearing these orange robes with a hood on, and there's a look of fierceness in his eyes. The words here are determination, no compromises, unwavering focus, inner resolve, integrity, a test of character, and self-examination. I've been talking a lot about going within and examining your own motives, examining what is it that you really want, finding that clarity within so that you know what direction to pursue. This focus line is line 5. This is about going out into the world. This is taking that resoluteness, that focus out into the people sphere, if you will, that says you are continually confronted by difficulties that threaten to drain away your energy and resolve. Nevertheless, going straight to the roots of each problem and uncompromisingly dealing with it in the best way possible is all you can do. Only in this way will you remain above reproach. We are again in a time of the world where there's a lot of conflicting ideas and a lot of conflicting messaging and information. There will be many crisis points. This is when we need to not act aggressively. We need to hold down our defensiveness, and combating things head on could actually have the opposite reaction. Well, I just talked before about this energy of the creative, of trying to be too active without knowing what direction you're going. It's kind of like getting caught in quicksand. So you could have this internal dialogue, like I got to go do this, and you try to fight and move through it, and you just get mired more, like that mud that with clay a lot in it will suck you in. Stay focused on the goal, and remember, this is your goal, not anybody else's. You need to be as creative as possible. Creative. And stay alert while plotting your course through this, because there's a lot of things that it's almost like walking through a minefield, because there's so many different things that will take your attention away. Okay, so that is about all that my voice can handle right now. This all goes, I'm using, again, my Tongshu calendar. I still have a couple left for sale if anybody would like one. But this one goes from March 5th through April 4th. I'm recording this on Wednesday, March 4th, and the very last day of the previous month. Because this year, the clash animal is the rat. Rat and horse are on the opposite side of the compass. The animal that is on the opposite side of the rabbit is the rooster. And so rooster energy is much more loud. It's much more out there. It's a lot of speaking. And so the rabbit, as I mentioned before, tends to want to be hiding and be a little bit more undercover. So there's that clash. This is a good opportunity, like I said, to go within and make sure you know what direction you're going in so that you can speak it properly and use that clash energy to your advantage. The days where those clashes will be happening are on the 12th, the 15th, the 24th and the 27th. Now, these again are not bad days to do things. They're actually great days to make that any kind of big change, to speak up. Maybe you need to send a note to your boss. Maybe you actually need to go all the way to HR and say, okay, there's something nasty going on here. Maybe this is an opportunity for you to have that hard conversation, so that you're supported with a lot of beauty, with a lot of gentleness, with that feminine energy of being able to speak in ways that others can understand. So speaking of speaking, it looks like that's the end of my voice, and actually the end of this forecast. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, please contact me in the comments, and I'd be happy to answer whatever you need. Have a good day and happy March.